welcome back to my YouTube channel. Hope you're doing well. So as you can see from the title of this video, I'm finally going to show you how to draft a trouser pattern. So this is just a basic trouser pattern, okay? And we're going to be using this pattern to make really beautiful designs, trouser designs on my channel. So leave me timestamps down below so that if you're looking for anything in particular. And I also have useful information in my description box as well. So make sure you go check that out as well. And yeah, without further ado, let's just get right into the tutorial. Alright guys, so these are the materials that you're going to need. So just go get these ready so that you can start drafting your pattern and you don't have to worry about getting something from the other room, because I know how frustrating that could be. And then these are the measurements that you're going to need for this tutorial. So you could either go check out my measurement video. I have a video that is explaining how to get all your measurements, so you could just go check that out so that you have a list. But if you already have your list, then just mark these ones so that you've already marked it out before you start drafting the pattern, so that the process can just go smoothly. And yeah, that's just that for that. So I would also be including the measurements throughout the tutorial in case you want that as well. So yeah, as you can see, I just used 2 patterns for this because it's a trouser and I wanted it to be very long, and the pattern that I work with, the pattern paper that I work with, doesn't have, you know, that length, so I had to join 2 patterns together. You could do this as well, but just make sure that when you put it together it's seamless and it's straight, so that there won't be any issues with the pattern having any creasing or any folding or anything like that. So if you're an OG, you already know that we put space at the top and at the side just for putting its sake. In case we want to add anything, remove anything, we have that space to do so, rather than just working with the edge of the pattern paper. And I would suggest that you do that if this is your first time watching. This is just something to do in order for you to just have space there, rather than working with the edge. In case you don't want to add anything, you won't be able to do so. So what I'm just doing now is that I'm just marking 1 inch at the top and also at the side as well. So that is just going to create my top part and also my center front. If you don't know what center front means, you're a beginner, I have a video explaining that, and I'm just going to link it up there so that you could go check it out. And yeah, so that's just what I'm doing for the top and the side. And then I just went ahead to label it. So you just want to label that part, the center front, and you want to label the top part, the top, just label it that. So then the first thing that you want to do is that you want to get your waist to your hip. So you just want to measure your waist to your hip, just like I'm showing you here. In case you want to use these videos to do that, then just measure your waist to hip like so. And then once you measure, you just want to start marking from that top line, okay, not from the edge of the pattern, but at that top at that line that we've created. And then you want to mark your hip measurements. So you want to divide your hip measurements by 4, and then after you divide your hip measurements by 4, whatever measurements you get, you're going to add half an inch of seam allowance, okay? So that is just going to help you to just get your hip line. So this is it, as you can see. So then I'm just measuring from the top of the line again, just to ensure that it's exactly 10 inches. It's exactly my waist to hip before I go on to draw the straight line. Then after you do that, you just want to label that line as hip. And then once you do that, the next thing you want to measure is that you want to measure your crotch depth, okay? So this is how to get your crotch depth. As you can see, I'm just going to show you, I'm just showing you how to do that in the picture there. And then once you get that measurement, then you just want to measure it from the top line again like so, okay? Be careful, don't make the mistake of measuring it from the edge part, okay, so that you don't make that mistake. Yeah, so you just want to measure that, and then once you measure that, we're going to look for the horizontal measurements that you're going to use to make the crotch line. And in order for you to do that, you want to get your hip line, right? What the exact measurement that is on your hip line, like so. Can you see that there? You just want to measure that. So whatever measurements you get there, then you want to take your paper and then you just want to write it down. So as you can see, I just wrote it down, then I did plus that measurements divided by 4, okay? So the first thing that I want to do is I just want to get your calculator. First of all, do the hip line divided by 4 first and write down the whatever I got, then add the hip line measurements to it again, and then whatever measurement you get, that is going to be the horizontal measurement for your crotch line. I hope that makes sense. Just follow what I'm doing on the screen here and you would be able to get your own specific crotch line. So as you can see, whatever measurement that I got there, I just went ahead to measure it from that center front line, as you can see. So as I say, I'm just measuring it and just making sure that you know it's there. And then once I measure it there, I'm just going to mark put a small mark there. And then after I put the small mark there, I'm just going to measure from the top again, just to ensure that it's the same measurements and everything is looking good. And then once I do that, then I'm just going to draw a straight line, which is going to be my crotch line, as I'm going to label there. Then after that, you just want to connect the hip line to the crotch line like so. So you want to get your French curve. If you don't have a French curve, you could do this. Just try to just mimic the line that it gives. It's kind of like a curve that it would give you. So if you don't have a French curve, you could just use your free hand to do it. But just make sure that it's a curve that is not too deep. So then after that, the next thing that you want to do is that you want to get the exact measurements of the hip line, and you want to measure it on that top line there like so. Then after you do that, the next thing you want to get is the darts. So in order for you to get the darts, you just want to measure your bust point to bust point divided by 2. You want to measure it starting from that line that we just created. So after you measure that, then you're just going to measure half an inch on both sides of that point. So then after you do that, you're just going to measure the length of the dart. So the dart is supposed to be 4 inches for the front. It's going to be 4 inches long. So here I'm just ensuring that the measurements are accurate and everything is where it's supposed to be. So then after you do that, you just want to connect all the lines all the points together like so. So once you're done with that, then you just want to measure your waist measurements. Okay, so you want to get your waist measurements divided by 4, but we're going to add 1 inch, okay, because of the dart. Okay, with that dart we're going to be taking in 1 inch, so we want to add that 1 inch back to the waist measurements. Okay, so you want to get your waist measurements divided by 4, and then you're going to add 1 inch of 1 inch for the dart allowance, and then you're going to add half an inch of seam allowance, and that's going to give you what you're supposed to put on that line like so. And then after you do that, then you just want to go up from here 0.25 inches, and this is just because of the curve that our bodies have, with our waist and our hip. That place is kind of curved, so just in order for us to just accommodate that curve, we just want to go up 0.25 inches. Nothing too serious, and this is a very small detail, but it makes a difference. Honestly, it makes a difference. With all these professional garments, with all these professional trousers, they always include it. So yeah, let's just try to mimic that as well. So then after you do that, because of that part that we raised up, we're going to be taking that away from the hip measure, from the waist there. Okay, so you just want to take that 0.25 inches, you just want to take it away from that waist like so. Okay, so this is just going to be serving as our waist center front. Okay, and then you're just going to connect the hip line with the waist line that you went in 0.25 inches, and then you also want to connect the waist to the hip in the outer part of the pattern as well. So this is just a quick trick that I like to do when I am making my darts, when I'm drafting my darts. So I just like to add an extension of the darts at the top, so that when I cut it out in my fabric, I would be able to see exactly where the darts ends and stop. Now I'm just going to go up half an inch from that middle point there, and then I'm just going to connect these points together. And what this does is that it just allows, because we're going to be cutting it out on the fabric like this, and it will just allow you to know, okay, this is where my dart is supposed to, like, this is where I'm supposed to fold it. Do you understand? So that would just help. But in the trouser tutorial that I'm going to post later, you're going to see how I did it, exactly. So then the next thing that you want to do is that you want to measure from your waist all the way to your floor. Okay, so it depends on you, it depends on the trouser length that you're going for. If you want your trouser to stop at your ankle, then just measure your waist to your ankle. If you want it to stop at the floor, you want it to be long, maybe so that you can wear heels with it, then just measure yourself and just get that. Okay, so that is just what you want to do. So from your waist to wherever you want your trouser to stop, just measure that, and then you just draw a straight line, which would indicate the hem of the trouser. Okay, so in order to create the trouser leg, you want to measure that same measurement on the hem. Okay, so that would be able to give you a straight line. So you notice that my ruler wasn't long enough, so you just want to measure it at the middle as well, measure that same measurement on the middle as well, and then you just draw a straight line connecting all these points together. And then after that, it should look like this. It should be a rectangular form. Okay, then you just want to label that part as the trouser hem. I wrote dress hem instead of trouser hem, don't mind me. So yeah, then after that, what you want to do now is that you want to measure your waist to your knee. Okay, so you just want to measure from your waist to your knee, which is your vertical measurement, and then you just want to mark it at the side, at the middle, and at the other side, so that you would be able to get a straight line. So now before you go ahead to measure your horizontal knee measurements and hem measurements, you want to get the middle point of the crotch line, the middle points of the knee line, and the middle points of the hem line. Okay, so you just want to measure it, and then whatever measurement you get, you divide it by 2, and then you mark the middle there like so. Okay, so you want to do that for the crotch line, you want to do that for the knee line, and then you want to do that for the hem line as well. So in order for you to mark your horizontal measurements, what you want to do is that you want to get your knee measurements and then divide it by 4. Okay, you want to divide it by 4, and whatever measurement you get, you are going to use that measurement. You're going to place that measurement at the middle line like so. Can you see? So you just want to mark it there, and then after you do that, then you mark the top of your tape roll, and then you get your knee measurements and divide it by 2 again. Okay, so whatever measurements you get when you divide it by 2, you're going to mark it on your tape roll as well. Okay, so this is just in order for us to be able to get the exact same measurements on each side of the line, so that because it's a trouser, so we have to make sure that it's in the middle, do you understand, rather than just starting from the center front. Once we have to make sure that everything comes down the way our legs are, because our legs are not straight. Okay, so in order for us to mimic the way our legs are, that is just the way we have to do it. So then after you do that, you just want to connect all of these lines together like so. So if the look that you're going for with your trouser is a very fitted one, then I would suggest that you add your waist to thigh measurements. Okay, so the way we did our waist to knee and our waist to dress hem, you want to add your waist to thigh measurements, and then the same way you measured your round knee, which is your horizontal knee, you just want to measure your horizontal thigh as well, so that would give you an even more snatched look if the trouser look that you're going for is a trouser that is tight and fitted. So yeah, then after that, you just want to connect all the lines together like so. So if you would notice, the lines were looking a little bit wonky, and that is to be expected because of the way our knees are. So I just made a straighter line, as you can see there, but this is optional. If you want it to be tight, then you just leave it like that, but if you want the trouser to just be a little bit loose and a little bit straight, then I would suggest that you do this part as well, that you just make it a straighter line, and just make it a straighter line rather than having that curve, just because of the knee measurements that we have there. And yeah, that is that for the front panel. So what you just want to do is I just want to leave half an inch of seam allowance. So I have a ruler, and my ruler has 0.35 inches marked there, so that was just what I was using to just indicate that. But if you don't have that, you can just go to each point, like for instance the hip points, just mark half an inch, the crotch points mark half an inch, mark half an inch on each point, and then you just connect all those lines together again like so, as if you're drafting a pattern again. But that is only if you don't have a ruler that has this. But if you have a ruler that has this, don't stress yourself, just go ahead to just use the ruler. So yeah, that is just that for that. So after you're done with that, you just want to cut it out, and yeah, that is that for your front panel. So in order to create the back panel, we're going to have to do a few changes. So the first change that you want to do is that we're going to spread slash and spread. Okay, so in order for you to slash and spread, you just want to get the middle point of that line there like so, the middle points of your waist to your hip measurements. You want to get the middle point, and then after you mark those points, you're just going to join all those points together to form a straight line, and then you're just going to splash and spread. Okay, so the reason why we splash and spread is because of our bum. Usually our bum is like our back panel, right? And that has a lot of like projection, do you understand? So in order for us to be able to allow the trouser to fit properly, to fit the curve that our bum has properly, then that is just why we have to splash and spread, so that it would allow for the trouser to be able to go around our bum perfectly. Yeah, that is just that for that. So then after that, I just want to cut it like so, but don't cut it out. Okay, don't cut through the pattern, just cut and leave some space there. So then after you do that, then you just want to go ahead to spread the pattern. Okay, so as you can see, I'm going you just want to spread the pattern by 1.5 inches like so. So as you can see, you just want to splash it and just put your tape roll in between, so that you're sure that it's there. And then once you're sure that it's 1.5 inches, then you just want to put and place a paper tape at the top there so that it won't be moving around. So in the same vein of trying to make the back panel accommodate our bum, we're going to make a few adjustments to the crotch. So the first thing is that from that crotch part there, you want to go outwards 0.75 inches. Okay, go outwards 0.75 inches, and then from that point now you're going to go down 0.35 inches, like so. Okay, just 0.35 inches. If you don't know how to read a tape rule, I have a tutorial on how to do that as well. I'm going to link it up there. So just go check that out so that you're not confused by all the 0.35, because you may only know half an inch. So yeah, if you're confused by that, just go check out the video. I'm going to link it up there. Or it's going to be in my description box. It is in my how to take measurements by yourself. All right, so then after that, you're not going to trace out the top part. Okay, only these parts that I'm tracing out, those are the parts that you should trace out. You want to trace out the knee to trouser hem. Okay, then you want to trace out the hem as well. Sorry, this was out of frame, so it didn't show. And then you also want to trace out your trouser hem to knee as well, and then you just trace out the other parts of the trouser, like so. And once you're done tracing out that side of the pattern, you want to ensure that you make notches on the crotch line, the hip line at both sides. Okay, so because we're going to want to draw these lines again to the pattern so that we just have that in case we need it. So now you just want to mark out all the lines that you created. So you want to mark out your hip line, you want to mark out your existing crotch line, then you want to mark out your knee line. You just want to put out all the markings that you had, all the straight lines that you had, so that you don't get confused on which parts to join together. So just draw a straight line connecting all those lines, indicating all those lines, and then label them. So now you know that we went down half 0.35 inches. So you want to connect that new crotch measurement with the hip line. Okay, just like so. So it should look like this. If you followed what I did, your thing should look like this, and it is the one at the bottom that you're going to be making use of. And then after you do that, then you just want to connect your waist to your hip, like so. And so because of the way we bent the pattern, it created this kind of curve. So you just want to smooth out the curve again, okay, so that it doesn't have this kind of curve when you're cutting it out on fabric. So you just want to connect the waist to the hip again, like so, with a straight ruler, so that you have a straight line again. And then after you do that, then you're just going to go ahead to join the crotch points to the knee. So when I was doing this for the front panel, I did not use this ruler, so it's not really necessary, honestly. If you don't have something like this, then you don't have to worry about getting it. Like, it's not really necessary, it's not a necessary step. But as I always say, if you have it, if it is available to you, then just use it, okay, because it just adds that extra curve that you may need. So yeah, then after that, you just want to go ahead to put your darts. So for the back panel, your darts are going to be 5 inches long. Okay, so the front panel, it was 4 inches, but for the back panel, it is 5 inches. And then after you do that, then you just want to cut it out. So we've already added seam allowance for the front panel, so there's no need for us to add seam allowance for the back panel, because we already added it to the front panel. So we splashed the front panel. So now you just want to take your sellotape and just sellotape that part that we splashed again, so that it becomes one piece again, rather than having to trace it out on another pattern paper and just waste pattern paper. Just do it like this, and you already have your front panel like you drafted before. So here I just decided that since I did it for the back panel, I should just do it for the front panel as well. But it is not mandatory, you don't have to do it. But if you have this kind of ruler, maybe you have the ruler set like I do, then you could just do that. But if you don't, it's not really necessary. Just rule a straight line. Yeah. So then after that, you just want to label it. Okay, so I label it with the front panel, then I go ahead to write what it's about. Then I write, is it my size, is there seam allowance or zip allowance? And then I also like to date it. So I feel like dating is just something that I started doing, and it's really, really important to date your pattern so that you know exactly when you made it, so that you would know the outdated patterns and the ones that are not recent. So yeah, that is just after that. That is it for this tutorial. I hope it was easy for you to follow. And yeah, so I'm going to be making a trouser. That's going to be my next video. So yeah, keep in tune with that. Okay, so yeah, thank you so much for watching. Alright, so that is it for this tutorial. I hope it was easy for you to follow. If you have any questions regarding anything, then you can just leave a comment down below and I will reply you. And if you have any contributions or any suggestions, just leave a comment down below as well. So yeah, thank you so much for watching this video and I will see you in my next video. Bye.